be charged after acceptance. So that's another tick on your list of things to think about, things to check up on when picking a journal. If they're charging you money before the paper gets accepted, walk away. And this brings me on to the conversion then between traditional journals and fully open access journals. Lots of publishers, Bentham included, have made their traditional journals open access for authors by charging a fee. So you can go hybrid, as it's called. This is the green open access model. You can publish in a traditional journal and you can pay that fee to get the paper fully online, fully open access. An article processing charge then is a publication fee that's levied by open access publishers. These range hugely in cost. The average cost across the industry is about $1,500 per article. And the million-dollar question then, the question that I know is in your head as you watch this presentation is, hey, I want my paper published open access. I want my research to be open. I want anybody to be able to download that research. Who's going to pay? Even though academic authors almost always favor open access publishing, the cost and the impact factor can be two major issues. As we've talked about already, this is the problem. So this slide here summarizes what I've just talked about. What's the difference between open access journals, gold open access versus green open access? These are hybrid journals. These are those traditional old school journals where you go in as an author and you pay to convert to full open access. Major change, as we've talked about, the most famous manifestation of open research in the last few years has been Plan S. Authors in the open access model retain copyright. That's very important. So we have a model of content that's free to end users, generally online only, peer review carried out in the same way as traditional journals, and we're moving, as I've mentioned, towards an author pays model. So we are involved in that at Bentham, and we also provide training at Bentham Science publishers to help colleagues around the world avoid those predatory open access journals. Very important to be aware. One of the most important questions that you'll ask and one of the most important steps that you'll take with your research is to decide which journal to publish your next paper in. Of course, you've only got one career. You want to maximize your impact with your publications. This model, this open research, open access model, of course, has led to a rise in the number of non-reputable, dodgy journals that just want to take your money to publish your work. So we provide training at Bentham to help authors around the world to avoid those predatory open access journals. The other big question that's relevant for career development, that's relevant for you as an author in the context of open research, is the question of, hey, I'm going to publish my work in a Bentham Science journal. It's going to be fully open access. How am I going to retain the copyright? This is important, an important point to make. Of course, open access publishing works on the basis of a number of online licenses that you'll get access to through your publisher. And what this often means is that you as an author have the chance to choose the terms under which your work will be future reused. It will be reused in the future in order to protect your own interest. These are called Creative Commons licenses. Here's a few examples here on the slide, and you'll get the choice often in open access publishing to decide what kind of license you want your work to be available under in the future. So attribution, you've got to credit the author, no derivatives, reuse the work but only unaltered from its original form, non-commercial, people could reuse your work but not for commercial purposes, and share alike, where derivative works are allowed but the same CC license has to be applied. So big questions about open access publishing. Who's going to pay that open access APC, the article processing charge? How can you determine as I see there in the question box, if a journal is predatory or not, sign up for one of our training sessions at Bentham Science Publishers. I've given you some ideas of a checklist that you can look at when you interrogate journals. Does it use peer review? Does it have a reputable editorial board? Is the journal asking for any payment before the article gets accepted? Have a think about these kinds of issues, and get in touch with us, of course, as well, because we can provide you with lists of reputable journals. We can provide you with training and help for that very important step in your journey as an author, which journal to pick for your next paper. This slide just summarizes the kinds of Creative Commons licenses that are available, that are out there. You can pick often as an author which kind of attribution you're going to allow your work to have. It's one of the big advantages of open access publishing. You retain the copyright. In the old model, in the traditional model for journal publishing, of course, in most cases, the society or the publisher controlling the journal takes over the copyright. Journal selection then, of course, in this context, very important, and authors tend to think about impact factor, reputation, reach within their field, and open access. So we are going to balance these variables as authors when making a choice of a journal. What's the impact factor? What's the reputation of the journal? What's the reach within the field? And is the journal open access or not? So we have other training. Check out the Bentham Science YouTube channel. There's other videos there that you can jump in and watch. How to pick a journal, how to effectively select a journal, and we'll be providing training, running live sessions over the next months in that very important area of selecting a journal and avoiding predatory publishers. So keep in touch with us, get in touch with our team. We'll give you more information about those upcoming events in the future. When selecting a journal, aim high, choose appropriately, and we can teach you to sell and manage your submissions. Very important skill as an author. Of course, I've already mentioned that you only get that one chance to maximize your career. So at the end of the day, open access, open research, researchers like it. Researchers want it. Open access, you might argue, is essential for research progress. The public has the right to know about what research is being done, funded by taxpayer money. Paywalls and publication fees drive inequality around the world. So we are pushing the open access movement at Bentham Science to provide better research and education around the world. And of course, this also is important because the more open research is, the more open our publications are, the bigger our scientific reach will be. Surveys have shown that almost 100% of active academic researchers support the idea of open access publishing. So why isn't it catching on faster? I hear you ask. Money. Where's the payment going to come from? So thank you very much for joining us today for this presentation. You can follow us on a number of channels. Check out these channels and join us again in the future for our next Bentham Science online webinar training session. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for listening.